Hi, everyone. My name is Fithian, and I'm excited to welcome you today to the first of this type of conference that we've put on. This is a part of a series that we're doing called Serious Support. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how Serious Support came to be and then introduce you to the person that kind of made sure today was able to happen. So I am a mom of a child who attended camp at North Star Reach and a child with a chronic illness. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But about a year ago, I visited with Doug Armstrong, the founder of North Star Reach, and told him that I wanted to make sure that our parents were getting the support that they needed, and asked if we were able to start to present conferences for families who have had loss or children with serious illnesses, and he agreed. In the fall, we had our CARE conference, which I do recognize some names from, so welcome back. And we were able to start some parent support groups, as well as cabin chats, which are kind of support groups for our campers. We have a mental health conference coming up, and then obviously today our conference. And so I just want to thank you for being here today. I know that signing up for something like this can feel strange because, it's admitting that you're grieving in some way. And I think that that is something that isn't easy to do. So I thank you for having the courage to be here. I know last night I was collecting my thoughts about what I wanted to make sure I was able to share, and I dreamt about my late father all night long. So I woke up in this heavy mood. And I think it makes sense to me that that's where my thoughts were. But I also want to share with you, the people that we put together are going to bring lightness to these heavy feelings. And I think that you will leave today feeling lighter than when you came in. So just bear with us. I'm going to introduce to you Jessica. She is the reason that my family engaged in North Star Reach. My daughter's had a long journey. I'll tell you about in a second. And she used to come and knock on our door at Mott and just push her way in, to be honest, because I'm one of those families that shuts the door and I don't want anybody inside. But she would bring me coffee and Diet Coke, which is a big deal for me. And she really has been there for our families. And the fact that this is something that she wanted to do is, as the family of somebody who is so affected by grief, it makes me feel like we have the best people that work for us. And this has kind of been her passion project. So let me introduce you to Jessica Doletzky, and let her tell you a bit about herself and today.
Thank you, Marianne. That means a lot. Welcome, everyone. I am Jessica Doletzky. I'm a child life specialist, recreational therapist by trade. Prior to working for CAMP, I worked at Mott Children's Hospital for about 10 years in the pediatric hematology and oncology clinic. So grief and loss were always a huge part of the work that I was doing there, and obviously a big part of the families that I cared for there. So moving into my role here at North Star Reach, that's been something that I've really wanted to continue to bring to this community and to continue to grow here. So we're really excited to move in this direction and just really looking forward to that starting. We hope that you're able to sit back, soak in the conversations, and to be inspired today through the wonderful knowledge and resources that we are hoping to share. Enjoy the conference, everyone.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks for all your hard work on this. I appreciate you. So my story, my daughter is 15 and she suffers from a life-threatening, incurable disease of the intestines. And, we started off 10 years ago. And I remember the surgeons came out to us and they said, she's going to need a colostomy bag and this is going to be a really long road. oh, by the time she gets in high school, she'll probably be doing okay. And I remember thinking, she's 4. She's going to be okay by the time she's in high school. Like, are you for real? My then, he's actually, I think he was my ex-husband then, or close to my ex-husband. He looked at me, and we had some friends in the lobby of the surgery area at Mott, and their child was having open heart surgery. And he said to me, we have nothing to be worried about. We can't complain. We just need to be grateful that it's just intestines and not heart surgery. And I remember that was the first time somebody basically said to me, you're not allowed to grieve the fact that your daughter has this illness. It was the first time anybody had like put it into words that I basically had no right to have grief about what was happening. It would happen a lot over the years. It really would. And I would do it to myself, to be honest with you. The first thing that happened from that point was Faith had a friend at the hospital who was a lot older than her. And this was in the old Mott, and the gut kids were on one side and the heart kids were on the other side. And the cardiology kids were there. They're either stable or they're really sick. It was kind of like one or the other. They were like post-surgical and they were going to go home, or they were sick and they were end of life kids. And there was a boy there named Russell. And for some reason, Russell was older, I think like 18 or 19, but he loved Faith. Faith was this cute little girl, and he would play Uno with her literally all day long. And when I mean all day long, I mean like I loved this kid because I was so stressed, and he would sit and play Uno with her day after day after day. And then Russell died. And I mean, we were in the hospital pretty much for 6 months, and it was Faith kept asking, where is he? And I, for some reason, this super honest mom that I have decided I wanted to be, lied to her and said he went home, because I had no idea how she would handle the fact that this kid who was playing Uno with her every single day died. And again, I did not allow grief for us because I still had my kid. And Russell's dad, I loved Russell's dad so much. I used to sit with him, and Russell just wanted regular meals from his grandma. And like Faith was like, is his grandma home cooking for him? And all these questions. And again, I wasn't allowed grief because my kid was still alive. So what happens when you're a part of this medical community is your kid gets sick. Faith has had sepsis 3 times, one this summer that was super scary that I wasn't sure she was going to make it. And, you know, your kid gets really, really sick, and then you watch other kids die, and you have this awful like grief for these families because a lot of these families go through this together, and you love these parents, and then you have this grief for these families, but then you want to know every single thing that happened because you want to protect your child. And then you feel like a horrible person because this person is in this grief, and you're curious about what you could do to prevent your child from dying. And it's this awful like thing we get stuck in as parents of sick kids. My friend Kathy Prout, who hopefully is here, said to me, it's that anticipatory grief that kills us. And it's like every single time we lose one of our close families, we have we go into these like sick, and there's times that you don't want your kid to find out. Like even now, Faith has lost so many friends, 27, she told me last night, because she has this little book, which I know is awful. And Russell's still not in that book, even though she knows he died. But there's 27 kids that have been close to us that she has lost in her 10 years of battling her illness at Mott. And it's this grief that we feel kind of all the time because we're part of this community. But guess what? We want to stay part of this community. She's not going to ever be cured. And then there's the things that happen for us that you feel like you're not allowed to grieve. Faith is a teenage girl, and she was having really bad cramps. And she's like, Mom, I just don't feel good. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, what do you mean it's ridiculous, Faith? All girls have to deal with this. She's like, Mom, I can never have kids. Why should I have to deal with this? This was like 2 weeks ago. It like hit me. We were planning this conference. It hit me in the face. I didn't sleep for 2 nights because I was sick to my stomach about the fact that She would not have said that if she wasn't grieving the fact that she can never have kids. And you know what? My mom is super close with my children. And I thought, I'm not going to have biological grandchildren from my daughter. And I felt grief. And then you feel bad because it's like, at least I have my kid. So there's this awful like grief cycle we go through where it's like our grief isn't important enough because we still have our babies. And I know that's crazy. This morning, she texted me, she needed me, and I flipped out because I'm here at the camp and she's at home. And I'm like, oh no, what happened? It was no big deal. But it's this constant grief cycle that we're in. And I think that I've made sure I reached out to families who have children who are still living to make sure they're here today to understand that you're grieving too, and we get it. And I think until we recognize it as grief, we won't do as well. And so I want to say that I'm glad you're here if you decided to come and you're one of the families like us. I also want to tell you that I know we have a ton of healthcare providers today. I recognize some of the names. As a family that depends on you to keep my child healthy, both mentally and physically, I love that you came today because I think this type of whole body care is something our hospitals are so desperately in need of. So thank you for taking the time to be with us today because it really means so much to me.